We are here in my stairwell, and just going to give a quick, slight preface. I do everything in my power to not get sucked into the sensationalism of current events, especially when a hard hitting, big time news story drops. Everyone, when you read stuff, you have an instant personal reaction. For me, I do my best to absorb the information, make a personal assessment, and then also take into account the responses that's going to begin. People that maybe have critique or contest the ideals. What I'm saying is, I see what people are saying in response to current events and in response to the people who are making their own assessments. And this one's a big story, right? The big gang inquiry that dropped in the United Kingdom. And obviously, I had a very intense emotional reaction when I first saw it, but it wasn't surprising necessarily to me because I've been following what has been going on over there for quite some time. Now, if you were completely ignorant to the situation over there, it would be deeply, deeply harrowing to find out. And a lot of that stuff, is like, I didn't read any of it because I don't need to, and I don't need any more fuel for the fire. I know it's disgusting. I know it's been happening a really long time, and it's been going on for far too long, right? So I thought it was just such a sort of commonplace. We know this is an issue, and we know we need to do something to reprimand it, that my feelings for making this sort of video were going to subside as other people on the internet with more influence would say the right things. And yet, as it's continued to circulate, the conversations continue to circulate, my perspective continues to grow, and the conversation internally around it has not dimmed. So here I am with my consideration of how I'm going to respond to the entire inquiry that happened in the UK. Not just that specifically, but also to the way public opinion has responded to it, right? So I don't think I need to dive into the details again. Unless you're living under a rock, you should be pretty well aware. What's documented is about 250,000 British girls have been abused in a gang abuse system, right? Like, it's not 250,000 different girls got snatched up and abused one time by one guy in an isolated situation, which that alone would be worthy of marching against. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about is a bunch of grown men that know each other passing young girls around like a fleshlight, like a toy. And it is unforgivable. Understand that. I know there's a lot of people out there who feel they've come so far in morality. Humans have come so far in morality, but there are things in this life that there are no forgiveness for. And the things these people are guilty of makes it on that list. And what I'll say about the figures, because I'm trying not to bounce around too much, but the response from some people, the patriots, the true patriots, is inspiring, but that has to be followed by action. Otherwise, it's meaningless, right? But some people, of course, I don't know how high on the political supply they are, but they try to the numbers aren't like that. I personally believe 250,000 is a conservative estimate. It's definitely much, much more realistic for that number to be in the millions. Millions of British girls have suffered. And we are talking British girls alone. We're not talking about all the French girls, the Belgian girls, the Spanish girls, the the Dutch girls, the girls in Scandinavia, the beautiful ladies all across Europe. Not to mention this is happening in our country, the United States. So truly, the young ladies of our race, of our people, everywhere, are victims, millions of them, millions. And they walk around in their arrogance and their haughtiness and their hijabs, thinking they deserve it. So that's my estimate of the figures, right? There's a lot of really, really terrible people trying to downplay it. And again, what could you downplay? Even if you could downplay it from 250,000, oh, well, it was more like 10, 20,000. That's enough for me. That's enough for me to despise you to the end of time. Okay? Because I'm gonna make one quick point on these people in the media and on social media who are trying to, again, placate to a political agenda and downplay the severity of these atrocities. Because indeed, it is quite beyond the idea of a crime. It is a true atrocity against our people. The folks who are in the media and on the internet, who are, right, it's kind of become a meme. They make that face as if it is supposed to be an irrelevant thing, or, oh, don't worry about all of the endless articles and stories that support this and all the evidence. Just pretend it's not real, right? All of you people who want to downplay it, oh, this is just political aggrandization. This is anti-Muslim propaganda or something like that. Understand that all of you people are done for. Okay? You're all finished because of the internet, the greatness of the internet. Everybody out there, they've got the screenshots, they've got your data, they've got your posts saved. We know who you are. We know who everybody is who wants to placate and downplay and essentially support the destruction of our people. And you are going to the gallows with them. 100%. You love them so much, you will go with them to paradise. That is certain. Now that the traitors have been addressed, the elephant in the room, right? Islam, the Muslims. Everybody wants to play this game, this disgusting game, pointing fingers. Oh, it's not these people. These people are nice. It's the bad ones. All that ridiculous pontificating, things that don't matter. Because I want to make this plain and clear as day for everybody. I don't want anybody to be confused about my stance. The people who committed these atrocities are Muslim. Okay? I don't care what country they're from or any of that. They are operating on Islamic ideals that they've been raised and indoctrinated to believe since the day they were born. All of these guys, this is what they're operating on. And you can try and say it's not like that, this, that, the other. If you don't speak Arabic, you do not know what they're talking about. End of story. If you do not fluently speak Arabic at a casual conversational level, you don't understand anything these people are about or the ways they operate. End of story. This is legitimized. The reason Islam grew, Islam would have died with Muhammad. But the reason it grew is because he gave guys permission to take sex slaves as war spoils. And that's what Islam has been since the very beginning. That's all they've ever done. People cry about colonialism and the colonizers. The entire history of Islam is just colonization. They're just colonizing people. There is no narrative where somebody's going around with the Quran, the good book, and converting people with some sort of elite spiritual knowledge. These are people who go around in hordes of men, and they put populations to the sword. That's how they grew. It's recorded history. There's no other way around it. These people have no spiritual substance. Perhaps once there was a sector long ago, you could say the Sufi Muslims, right? Maybe they had a connection to, again, ancient wisdoms, and they kept some sciences and things alive, and that's great. That's great. They had a chapter, but it's time to close the book on these people, because that's not coming back. The wise Sufis are not coming back. It's nothing but ignorant dogs. That's on. They're going to run around the streets of your city and harass the women in the worst ways. So, at the end of the day, all of the Muslims are guilty. All of them. Every single Muslim on this earth is guilty via their association to the other Muslims for their atrocities and their crimes against our people. End of story. For whatever reason, people think it's some kind of defense. That there's some weak, helpless Muslims out there that can't do anything about it, wouldn't do anything about it if they could, and they want some claim of innocence. They don't say anything, though, do they? They have no outrage. They're not concerned. And the Muslim women, they're just as bad. They sit and they're disgusting little raps, and they laugh at what happens to the beautiful European girls. They think they deserve it because they're not all wrapped up looking like a fucking foreskin. And that's it. People can say whatever they want. Islam has to go. And there's no other way. This is not some sort of cult in a small town somewhere that can just be ignored until it fizzles out. There's, I believe, 2 billion Muslims on the planet. And in my estimation, I would say at least a quarter of them, 25%, are radical lunatics. Which, if you can do the math, is a lot. But we can even use more conservative numbers. Even if 10%, only 10%, because that's what they say, right? Only 10% of the Muslims are actually radical. Did you know there's 2 billion of them? So, that means there's over 100 million radical Muslims on the planet. And all the other billions of Muslims can't do shit to stop them. That's what people have to get through their heads. Get it through your head. It's through anybody who has common sense understands this. The moderate people don't decide legislation. Moderate people don't decide anything. The radical people of religions, of societies, set the rules. 100%. You can dream and hope and wish it some different way, but this is the best part of Islam. The best part about Islam is that it has proven in full HD color why democracy sucks. You can just move hordes of populations of what do they call it? Room temperature IQ, or people with IQ so low, our courts of law feel bad prosecuting them for crimes because they're not intelligent enough to even know what they're doing, apparently. That's how stupid these people are. Point is, you can just move hordes of these low IQ mongrels into a town, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to vote the Ummah, or whoever it is, into political office, right? They are going to leverage democracy to put their people into democratic office, which is why everything people say about how sad their story is total bullshit. because they don't want to come over here and take part. I just want a little handout from Whitey, help me out. No, they're coming here to take over your government. Why are there mayors that are Muslim? Why are they in legislation, in the government at all? Why are they running for office? It seems like a ground zero, obvious thing to not allow immigrants to hold office. It's almost like it's so obvious they didn't write it down. Point being, they're going to move in mass in just a horde of people, and there'll be so many, they'll just outvote you. And they'll vote their happy little Muslim guy, or in Western countries, they love to do women because they know you're a sucker for the downtrodden, marginalized women of the world. So they'll allow women to run office for now. And then as they secure democratic power, their next move is to build a parallel government right next to the democratic power they've created, right? Neighborhood watches, Sharia police forces, they build that parallel government. And once that's in place, we don't need the democracy anymore. In stage 3, full-blown Sharia law. Full-blown, you gotta have your head wrapped, or you're getting beaten up and abused. That's the way it goes. And people act like it's just this far-out idea, except you have documented evidence of people who have fled Islamic countries. They've come to the United States or somewhere in Europe, and they go in front of the politicians. They say, hey, this is what happened in my home, and now I'm watching it happen here. This is bad news. You don't want this to happen. And people try to laugh it off. It's serious. It's serious, serious business. So that's the end. It has to be the end of this religion. It has to be the end of these people in our country. Everybody has to go. Everybody. I mean, all the Somalians in Minnesota, all the Muslims up there, all the Muslims in Michigan, the North Texas invasion has to be snuffed out and sent back. All of them are done for because they are all guilty. They are all complicit in these crimes. Every last one of them. And they're eyeballing committing these crimes in a town near you, in your town. Make no mistake about it. So that has to be our standard procedures. SOPs has to be getting rid of these people one way or the other. And again, this is part of the reason I let things brew. We'll see how the public will react, right, before I give my major assessment. And the most recent thing that happened connected to this story in Edinburgh, I believe, Edinburgh. Forgive me for not knowing everywhere in England and mispronouncing. I believe it's in Edinburgh. A Scottish man took up an axe and I believe he cut 5 people, 5 Muslims. I don't think he has any casualties, any deaths, but he did cut 5 people, right? And then people, oh my gosh, the worst thing they'd ever seen in their life, right? Don't worry about millions and millions of European girls being brutally abused in ways that I will never repeat with language by African migrants, by Muslims from the Middle East, Pakistan. But one Scottish guy throws an axe around a couple times, it's the worst thing you ever see. Oh, it's anti-Muslim hate. You know what was wrong with the Scottish guy? What was wrong with the Scottish guy who went around and swung his axe a few times? He was alone. That's what was wrong with the Scottish guy in Edinburgh. He was alone. It should be every single man in Europe walking on 2 feet should have been with him, armed and dangerous, giving these people one of 2 choices: leave or it's the axe. This is the way. This is how you do it. And that's always what they're going to do. They're going to play on your feelings. Oh, you're anti-Muslim? Damn right. You suck. Your culture sucks. Halal sucks. The hijab sucks. You suck. And we're done with you. Okay? This is it. You have one of two paths. You either join the resistance or your descendants, if you have any, will be face down on the rug praying to Muhammad or whatever. Who cares? Their shit book, their shit religion, their shit ideas. No longer will we tolerate any of this. What are you going to do? You know, a lot of people, they don't care about themselves. They don't care about the future, and they don't have children. So everything that happens is meaningless to them. They're like, oh yeah, everybody could just do whatever. Why can't the Muslims just wholesale abuse Europeans and white women everywhere? Because the world doesn't matter. Well, for the people who do have families, we don't want that. Okay? Not here, not ever. And here's the biggest thing, is that it was never a secret. The people who act appalled, oh my gosh, this is that or the other, this isn't something new. This isn't some sort of revelation, discovery, oh, I can't believe these guys are like that. No, this is how they operate. You think some kind of special circumstance or this, that, why don't you go to the Levant? Why don't you ask the Muslims how they feel about the Yazidi girls? Why don't you ask the Muslims what they do to the Yazidi girls? I have some real interesting answers for you. This isn't anything new. This is their modus operandi. This is who they are. This is Islam. The Gang Inquiry report from UK is Islam. That's who they are. This is what they do. This is what they're going to do if they haven't already in your home. So, I propose a solution. As already stated, we must clear Islam out of the United States of America. Drive it out of anywhere they have a significant population. Of course, Minnesota, Michigan, North Texas become an issue. Anywhere they're around, they must go. All mosques must close and be repurposed. That is a bit of a task, but we can do it. We can do it no problem. And once we're done, once we have driven out the plague that calls itself Islam, the disgusting parasites that are the Muslim people, then we build the greatest navy the world has ever seen. We sail the Atlantic and we drive them out of the British Isles. Not only them, but we take every single person who is complicit, because you wouldn't believe the disgusting things happening over there. You're talking about girls calling the police for help, the police picking them up, abusing them, and giving them back to these sick parasites. Don't think we forgot about them. Every single one of them, from the boots on the ground officers to the king himself, will taste the sword. We will liberate the British Isles, thus completing the American destiny of a true free nation for our people. This is my every intention. And truthfully, I aim that it reaches all of my brethren out there, all of our family. May we come together and crush this scourge. The time is now.